You know, my sweetest friends, sometimes we wait for something to happen all our lives. Sitting there waiting. And most of us, when it really happens, we don't know what to do with it. And, you know, sadly enough, most people, when it happens, they think, you know, maybe it was better the way it was before I was waiting for it. Why do I need this whole thing, you know? And there's something very, very deep inside of it getting involved. When the most important thing in my life happens, suddenly I become so old. I think, I'm going to change now, you're crazy. I do the same thing all my life, forget it. So what were you krachting about all your life? You were crying for it. One more thing, friends. Whenever God opens gates for us, what we have to do is not only go through it. God opens gates. Imagine I'm knocking on somebody's door for 10 years, and then they open the door, they say, I made a mistake. I mean, you're standing here for 10 years knocking for nothing? I gotta talk it over with my psychiatrist, I think, you know. Yeah, I'm 10 years I'm in analysis. What's to know you're a psychiatrist? Just make a fortune on you. Can't tell you. Anyway, stupid, right? But you know what the most important thing is? Not only when God opens gates or when people open gates for us. It's not enough to go through the gates. The most important thing is to make the gates even wider. And here I want you to know something. You know, when I knock on somebody's door for 10 years, and then the gates open, it's not enough that I go in. While I go through the gates, I have to say, Rabbeinu Shalom, the Master of the world, how many people are knocking on gates all their lives? Can you please open gates for them also? At that moment, I'm the master of gates. While I'm going through the gates, I can open gates in heaven. You know, friends, whenever something special happens to me, at that moment, I can open gates for the whole world. And you know, a lot of people getting married, if they would at that moment say to God, please, open gates for all the people who are waiting to do the same thing, also would be easier for thousands of people. You never know. Anyway, I just want to share with you a story, and the most important thing I want you to know here, our father Abraham is 75 years old. He's waiting all his life for God to talk to him. There was never a person in the world that was searching for God like our father Abraham. On Shabbos we say, Dorshe Hashem, those who seek God, Zera Avraham Ayava, the seed of Abraham who loved God so much. Avraham was mamish searching for God. You know, I don't want to knock people today. A lot of people are searching for God. But imagine God would really reveal himself to them. They crack up, right? Say, listen, God, don't take me that serious, you know, really. I was only joking, you know, God, really. I mean, I'm sure you know this famous Jewish joke that the Yidel is walking on a bridge and begins to chuckle and he gets all shook up and he says, God, I donate $100 for Israel if you get me on the other side. Unbelievable. The bridge is calm, peaceful, he's walking. But you know, Jewish economy, suddenly you're thinking, listen, I could have made it for 50. Crazy, what? Why did I say 100, right? So you're thinking, 50 and God wouldn't have been happy with 10, right? Let's face it. The moment he goes down, begins chuckling again. He says, God, I'm only joking, you know. Okay, now the story of the real God seeker. Listen to this. Finally, God is speaking to Abraham. And what God is telling him, Abraham, whatever you did so far isn't it yet. I want you to move away from everything and go to the land which I will show you. Go to the land where I will open gates for you like you never dreamt about. And then the second passage says, you know who came with him? His nephew. You know what that means? Abraham Avinu opened gates for somebody else already. And everybody knows that Lot is the great-grandfather of our mother Ruth, who eventually is the mother of King David, who is the mother of the Messiah. You know what that means? You don't know for whom you're opening gates. Maybe that person's son or daughter will save the world. What do you know? So I want to bless you, friends, whenever God opens gates. Not only God, sometimes people are trying so hard to get close to people. And when it happens, we don't do it. And friends, it's so easy to do today what you did yesterday. And to do yesterday what you did the day before. You know, friends, as far as I'm concerned, the saddest thing in the world is you meet people today and you meet them 10 years later and they haven't moved an inch. You know, basically we're living in a retarded society. You know that? They have 200 PhDs hanging on the wall, but they themselves haven't moved an inch. In fact, when someone moves too fast, people think they're crazy. Because society expects you, like after Bar Mitzvah until your dying day, the same level of Jewishness, of God belief, everything, don't move. You know what God says to Avraham? Lech lecho. Avraham, you want to be a servant of God? Move. Keep on moving. I heard from an old Baba Chassid. He told me that. He says, I saw the old Baba Rebbe every day. But believe me, he says, every morning I shivered. He was not the Rebbe from yesterday. Somebody.